Last week we talked about in order for us to develop a godly character, how many want to get closer to God? How many want God to be able to form them and so that they can be able to live a life that pleases God? If you are that person, you need to make sure that your character reflects Jesus Christ. There's some things that we need to control. You see, God will do his work in us, but there's some things that God will leave up to you. Last week we talked about controlling your thoughts. And we talked about the people of Israel that because of their abuse that was consistent, because of the trauma they received, because of the years of oppression and of slavery, that developed their character because what they saw influenced how they thought. Remember, God delivered his people and he took them out of Egypt, out of slavery, and he brought them through the desert. The desert was needed because God was trying to teach his people. God was trying to develop a relationship with his people. God was using the desert to heal his people. How can I trust somebody I never saw? How can I trust somebody I never heard? How can I trust somebody? So God, in his infinite wisdom, he uses the desert as an instrument to build confidence, to build maturity, to heal his people. Just because you've been delivered doesn't mean you've been healed. Just because you've been delivered, just because you're not hanging out on that corner anymore, just because you're not going to that bar anymore, just because you're not around a certain group of people anymore, it does not mean that you have been healed. Maybe back then, what was the very thing you went to help you cope with your problem was a bottle. Maybe it was a pipe. Maybe it was some type of, whatever it may be. And maybe you're not doing that right now, but if you have not been healed, you're always going to run to something and depend on somebody and depend on something else to be able to cope with. And so just because you've been delivered doesn't mean that you have been healed. The people of Israel needed to be healed. And because they were not healed, they used their tongue. The way they spoke brought catastrophic events upon their lives. If you're not careful of how you control your thoughts, if you're not careful that you are not in the healing process, best believe that everything will bother you, everything will be a hindrance, everything will agitate you, and you will end up using your mouth not to edify, but you will end up using your mouth to destroy.